Riley, the one and only Two Hats, aka Sundown. You probably already tapped out because I'm a minute late. I don't know when you put this comment, but I'm back, everybody. I did one earlier, and then I was supposed to come back on about an hour. I don't know, about an hour after I did the one earlier. I couldn't get no freaking Wi-Fi. Was not allowing me to get through. So then I changed the time. I fell asleep, took a nap, changed the time again. Then I almost went ahead and scheduled for tomorrow because I'm most likely going to be doing a second part. If you guys go over to Harvey Talks Prison channel, he's a gentleman out of Missouri, the Midwest. He was a former lifer. He did almost 30 years in there. Was arrested as a juvenile, and he was able to get out. He's been out for about 6 years now. So go to his channel and check it out. It's called Harvey Talks Prison. And he does, obviously he tells some of the stories that he's seen. Plus he's always pushing other channels. I've seen him probably pushing other channels out there, at least five, 6 different channels, if not more. And then he also will take, he does little shorts on little skits and things. And he does a great job. He's my favorite prison genre channel. There's a lot of channels that I like, but his channel, to me, it's real, he's just himself. He don't try to, he just talk, you could tell too the way when he's telling the stories, it's just him, that's him, and he keeps it, for me, keeping it 100 about who he is, his character, how he, speaks. And it means a lot more to me when I see that compared to when I see people, don't get me wrong, the joking and all that is cool. It's real cool. But, joking and getting a little amped up here and there. Okay, that's all fine. But I like just his whole get down, how he decides to tell his stories in his experiences and other things he's seen, heard, things like that. So I think I'm going to be doing the second part with him soon here. So this is probably going to be short. I know I changed the time 3 different times, so most likely, I'll probably catch people, they'll come back and watch this later, which I'm not, it's all good. I know I screwed up on that, and I'm late a lot when I put, I set a time for what time I'm gonna come on. I hardly ever, maybe once out of, or like right now, I was pretty much on time. But I'm always late, and I apologize for all that. Tim Egan, here we go. Yeah, because I know you know about this man too. So this is going to be my second episode on decorated war heroes, and the first one was Sergeant First Class Jorge Otero Barreto, aka Puerto Rican Rambo, aka Sergeant Rock. And then on the thumbnail for that video, it was Sergeant First Class Cartagena, and I'll touch with him too. And this, don't get me wrong, the first 3 that I mentioned are Latinos, but don't worry. I mean, not to worry. I know you guys ain't worrying, but eventually, I will get around to, it's going to be about American soldiers. It's not going to be, like I had mentioned in the first video about the American hero, about them saying, Puerto Rican and American and different people, and when we're all Americans, you know what I'm saying? So I'm going to give you guys a little I'm going to speak. This is not going to be too long of a video though, but I'm going to let you know a little background on this guy, Master Sergeant Raul Benavidez, and he went by Roy. He's a United States Army Master Sergeant, who was awarded the Medal of Honor for his valorous actions in combat near, now I'm going to tear this name up, near Lac Ninh, South Vietnam on May 2nd, 1968, while serving as a member of the United States Army Special Forces during the Vietnam War. Okay, he's born in 1935, August 5th, 1935, in Lindenau, Texas, and he died in San Antonio, Texas. He has quite a bit of siblings, and he has a few kids. And he was married from 59 to 98. So pretty much his whole adulthood, he was with the same woman. So let's give you guys a little background on him. On Master Sergeant Roy Benavidez. He was in the service from 1952 to 1976. Like I said, the United States Army. These are some of his units. He was in 82nd Airborne Division, 5th Special Forces Group, Military Assistance Command, Vietnam Studies and Observations Group. He was in the Korean War and the Vietnam War. He must have caught just the tail end of the Korean War because he's born in 35. So 53, he would have been 18. I think the Korean War stopped in 55, I believe. Here's some of his medals, awards. He's got the Medal of Honor. Oh, he's got the Purple Heart. Imagine that one. The Purple Heart. Defense Meritorious Service Medal. The Meritorious Service Medal, Army Commendation Medal, and the Texas Legislative Medal of Honor. Okay, so I jotted down a few things that I probably wasn't gonna remember off the top of my head. So, like I said, he's born in Lindenau, Texas, Cuero, Texas, and DeWitt County. He is the descendant of founders of the Benavidez, Texas, and was the son of a Mexican farmer. His dad was Salvador Benavidez Jr., and his mother was Yaqui. So Yaqui's a Native American tribe, and her name was Teresa, right? So when he was 2 years old, his father died of tuberculosis, and his mother remarried. 5 years later, his mother died from tuberculosis as well. Wow, that's crazy. Your father dies when you're 2, and then 5 years later, at 7 years old, your mother dies of the same thing. I mean, even if it wasn't the same thing, just passing period, no parents that young of an age. Benavidez and his younger brother, Roger, and that's the trip too. His younger brother's named Roger. Usually when somebody's named Roger or Rogelio, which is in Spanish, they usually go by Roy. Usually short for Roger or Rogelio is Roy. They moved to El Campo, where their grandfather, uncle, and aunt raised them along with 8 cousins. Benavidez shined shoes at the local bus station, labored on farms in California and Washington, and worked at a tire shop in El Campo. So this kid was a hustler already. You know, he did what he had to do to help feed himself and help his family. He dropped out of school at 15 in order to work full time to help support his family. Okay, so now we're gonna fast forward a little bit. He enlisted in the Texas Army National Guard in 52 during the Korean War. In 55 of June, he switched from the Army National Guard to the Army Active Duty. And in 59, he married Hilaria Coy Benavidez, completed airborne training, and was assigned to the 82nd Airborne Division at Fort Bragg, North Carolina. 82nd Airborne is probably one of the most how would I say that? They're one of the 82nd Airborne is a very elite, regiment or battalion, or I don't know how you would call that, but a lot of guys are very proud to be a 82nd Airborne. So, Army Special Forces, Benavidez returned to Fort Bragg, began training for the elite Army Special Forces. Once qualified and accepted, he became a member of the 5th Special Forces Group and studies at Observation Group. Vietnam, so he didn't see too much action in Korean War. In 65, he was sent to South Vietnam as a Special Forces advisor to an Army of the Republic of Vietnam Infantry Regiment. During his tour of duty, he stepped on a landmine. Ooh, that can't be good. During the patrol, and was evacuated to the U.S. Doctors at Fort Sam Houston concluded he would never walk again and began preparing his medical discharge papers. As Benavidez noted in his MOH acceptance speech in 81, stung by the diagnosis as well as flag burnings, immediate criticism of the U.S. military presence in Vietnam he saw on TV, he began an unsanctioned nightly training ritual in an attempt to redevelop his ability to walk. Wow. So that just showed, to me, with this guy, it showed as a kid, that his grit, his grind, the struggle, parents dying, both parents dying by the age of 7, one dying when he was 2, like I mentioned earlier, with tuberculosis. 5 years later, his mother dies from it at age 7. And then he's raised by a grandfather and uncle and aunt, along with 8 other cousins and him and his brother. And he started working as a young age, working in the fields, doing whatever he had to do. It just showed that he was very determined as a young man, right? Getting out of bed at night. He started by crawling on his elbows and chin to a wall near his bedside, and with the encouragement of his fellow patients, many of whom were permanently paralyzed and or missing limbs, he would prop himself against the wall and attempt to lift himself unaided, starting by wiggling his toes, then his feet, and eventually, after several months of excruciating practice, his own admission often left him in tears, pushing himself up the wall with his ankles and legs. After over a year of hospitalization, Benavidez walked out of the hospital in July of '66 with his wife at his side, determined to return to combat. Wow, imagine that. You get almost blown away. You're paralyzed. They're saying you'll never even walk again. And you take it upon yourself at night to do your own exercise, your own exercising to build your strength, to not only walk again, but to swear, to pretty much swear an oath to yourself that you're going to return back to battle. Can you imagine what his wife was telling him? She probably would tell him, no, no, no. Most people, are just going to roll with it, man, get paid for staying home. They're injured, whatever, right? Okay, so on May 2nd, 1968, a 12-man Special Forces patrol, which included 9 Montagnard tribesmen, was surrounded by an NVA infantry battalion of about 1,000 men. Benavidez heard the radio appeal for help and boarded a helicopter to respond. Armed with only a knife, he jumped from the helicopter carrying his medical bag and ran to help the trapped patrol. Benavidez distinguished himself by a series of daring and extremely valorous. Valor comes from, that word valor? Yeah, valorous actions. Real valorous actions. Joey Dime, there we go. So you haven't really missed much. I just barely told, well, a lot of the story. I think you and both Tim Egan. So I just barely told about him stepping on a landmine, being blown up bad, taken back to the U.S., to the hospital, given the information that he was never going to walk again, and they were preparing his discharge papers. And he started at night. He started his own workout regimen to strengthen himself to get back on his feet one day, and then eventually he walked out of the hospital with his wife, and he swore to himself that he was going to return back to battle one day. Imagine that. And I was talking about, I don't know if you know his whole story from a kid, but his father died when he was 2 of tuberculosis, and then his mother died 5 years later he was age 7, and he was taken along with his little brother and to his grandparents, or his grandfather, uncle and aunt, and 8 other cousins. And he was a hustler, and he showed at a young age determination to make money, work. And so he was a hustler, grinder. So at one point in the battle, NVA soldier accosted him and stabbed him with his bayonet. Benavidez pulled it out, drew his own knife, killed him, and kept going, leaving his knife in the NVA soldier's body. He later killed 2 more NVA soldiers with an AK-47 while providing cover fire for the people boarding the helicopter. After the battle, he was evacuated. After the battle, he was evacuated to the base camp, examined, and thought to be dead. As he was placed in a body bag among the other dead in body bags, he was suddenly reorganized by a friend who called for help. A doctor came and examined him, but believed Benavidez was dead. Yeah, so he's from Texas. that's when Tim Egan said the other day that he's a bad Tejano. Tejano means you're from Texas in Spanish. Basically means Texan. That's what it means. And yeah, he was raised in Texas. And his last name Benavidez. His family, the name of that, I think it's a town. Benavidez is his family. His mother was Yaqui, which is a Native American tribe that's from both sides of the border. They're from Arizona and they're from Mexico. And then his father was a Mexican national originally. Let's see, where am I at? Okay, a doctor came and examined him, but believed Benavidez was dead. The doctor was about to zip up the body bag when Benavidez managed to spit in his face, alerting the doctor he was alive. Benavidez had a total of 37 separate bullet, bayonet, and strapple metal wounds from the 6-hour fight with the enemy battalion. Damn, imagine that. Benavidez was evacuated once again to Fort Sam Houston's Brooke Medical Army Center, where he eventually recovered. He received the Distinguished Service Cross for extraordinary heroism and 4 Purple Hearts. Purple Hearts. Imagine that. So far, it's been 2 stories about 2 different soldiers of Latino descent. First one was Puerto Rican descent. This was Mexican descent. Actually having the Purple Hearts, both of them. Imagine that. In '69, he was assigned to Fort Riley, Texas. In 1972, he was assigned to Fort Sam Houston, Texas, where he remained until retirement. I think Ronald Reagan, President Reagan, put some of the medals on him at some point, I believe. In '73, after more detailed accounts before, '73, after more detailed accounts before available, Special Forces Lieutenant Colonel Ralph R. Drake insisted that Benavidez receive the Medal of Honor. By then, however, the time limit on the medal had expired. An appeal to Congress resulted in an exemption for Benavidez, but the Army Decorations Board denied him an upgrade of his Distinguished Service Cross to the Medal of Honor. The Army Board required an eyewitness account from someone present during the action. Benavidez believed that there were no living witnesses of the 6 hours in hell. Beknownst to Benavidez, there was a living witness who would later provide the eyewitness account necessary. Brian O'Connor, the former radio man of Benavidez's Special Forces team in Vietnam. O'Connor had been severely wounded, and Benavidez believed that he was dead, and he was evacuated to the U.S. before his superiors could fully debrief him. O'Connor had been living in Fiji Islands when, in 1980, he was on a holiday in Australia. During his holiday, O'Connor read a newspaper account of Benavidez from El Campo, Texas newspaper, which had been picked up by the international press and reprinted in Australia. Okay, so that's when so that was his eyewitness right there. So on February 24, 1981, yes, that was Reagan was president in 81. He just came into office, matter of fact. Benavidez got his Medal of Honor in the Pentagon. Reagan returned to the press and said, if the story of his heroism were a movie script, you would not believe it. He then read the official award citation. Rank and organization, Master Sergeant, Detachment B, 56, 5th Special Forces Group, Republic of Vietnam, 1968, May of 68, west of Loc Ninh. He entered service in June of 55 in Houston, Texas, and he's born August 5th, 1935 in DeWitt County, Quito, Texas. Let's see. Yeah, there is. There is a video. Post-military retirement in '76, Benavidez, his wife, and their 3 children returned home to El Campo, Texas. He voted his remaining years to the He devoted his remaining years to the youth of America, speaking to them about the importance of staying in school and getting an education. His message was simple: an education is the key to success. Bad habits and bad company will ruin you. In 1983, Benavidez told the press that Social Security Administration planned to cut off disability payments he had been receiving since his retirement, as well as the disability payments for thousands of other veterans. He went to Capitol Hill and pleaded with the House Select Committee on Aging to abandon their plans, which they finally did. Benavidez was in demand as a speaker by the United States Armed Forces, schools, military, and civic groups, and private businesses. He also spoke in Greek, Panama, Korea, and Japan, where he visited American military personnel and even joined them on field exercises. He received complimentary letters from students, service members, and private citizens throughout the world. Okay, he even wrote a book, autobiography, about his life and military experiences. Let's see. It was called The Three Wars of Roy Benavides, where he talks about growing up as a Mexican-American, poor, or being an orphan, his military training and combat in Vietnam, and the efforts by others to get recognition for his actions. So here we go. So he's got here's his personal decorations. He's got the Medal of Honor, the Purple Heart with 5 oak leaf clusters, the Defense Meritorious Service Medal, the Meritorious Service Medal. He's got the Army Commendation Medal, the Army Achievement Medal, the Army Good Conduct Medal with silver clasp with 2 loops, the National Defense Service Medal with 1 service star, the Korean Service Medal with 1 campaign star, the Armed Forces Expeditionary Medal, the Vietnam Service Medal with 4 campaign stars, the NCO Professional Development Ribbon with award numeral 3, the Army Service Ribbon, the Army Overseas Service Ribbon, the United Nations Korea Medal, Vietnam Campaign Medal with the 1960 device, the Korean War Service Medal. He's got unit awards, Presidential Unit Citation, the Republic of Vietnam Gallantry Cross with Palm, and he's got a state award, Texas Legislative Medal of Honor. And then he has other ones he has is the Combat Infantryman Badge, the Master Parachutist Badge, the South Vietnamese Parachutist Badge, the United States Army Special Forces Distinctive Unit Insignia, Special Forces Tab. He's got the United States Army Special Forces GSIB. He's got 8 service stripes and 4 overseas service bars. Pretty decorated there. And he passed away in 1998, November of 1998. He was only 63 years old, pretty young, at Brooke Army Medical Center, having suffered respiratory failure and complications of diabetes. Yeah, I knew it had to be something. His body was escorted to the St. Robert Bellarmine Catholic Church, where he had married, where his 3 children were married, and where he attended Mass every Sunday. His body was then returned to Fort Sam Houston's main chapel for a public viewing. Family friend Archbishop Patrick Flores of the Archdiocese of San Antonio presided over a Catholic funeral mass at San Fernando Cathedral, located in San Antonio, Texas. Okay. Benavidez, so here's some of his personal honors. Roy Benavidez Elementary School in Gulfton, Houston, Texas. So he's got a school named after him. The Texas National Guard Armory in El Campo, and the USNS Benavidez. 1981 Texan of the Year. Honorary Associate in Arts from New Mexico Military Institute, Special USPS Pictorial Cancellation Stamp, Lifetime Achievement Award from St. Mary's University Alumni Law School in San Antonio, Texas. Listed on the Medal of Honor Memorial in Indianapolis, Indiana. Listed on the Medal of Honor Memorial at Riverside National Cemetery in Riverside, California. The Texas Legislative Medal of Honor. G.I. Joe Roy P. Benavidez commemorative edition released August 31st, 2001. First Hispanic to be honored, since it is Latino Heritage Month still until the 15th. Let's see. Buildings and institutions with Benavidez' name include Roy P. Benavidez, Robert M. Patterson, All Airborne Chapter, 82nd Airborne Division Association, El Paso, Texas. Roy P. Benavidez, American Legion Post 400, in San Antonio, Texas. Roy P. Benavidez, Army Reserve Center, NAS Corpus Christi, Texas. Roy P. Benavidez, Artillery Training Area 67 at Fort Steele, Oklahoma. Roy P. Benavidez City Park in Colorado Springs, Colorado. Roy P. Benavidez Elementary School, like I had mentioned earlier, in Gulfton, Houston, Texas. He has another elementary school in San Antonio, Texas. He's got the Roy P. Foundation in Corp. He's got the Roy P. Benavidez Military Range at Fort Knox, Kentucky. And he's got the Roy P. Benavidez National Guard Armory in El Campo. I think I mentioned that one. Master Sergeant Roy P. Benavidez, Non-Commissioned Officer, Academy of the Western Hemisphere Institute for Security Corporation. That's in Fort Benning, Georgia. Roy Benavidez Scholarship Fund in El Campo. Roy P. Benavidez Special Operations Logistic Complex at Fort Bragg, North Carolina. Roy P. Benavidez Recreation Center in Eagle Pass, Texas. The conference room, owned and operated by the Department of Military Instruction of the United States Military Academy, is the Benavidez Room. Inside the Benavidez Room, there are signed pictures of MSG Benavidez, the citation for the Medal of Honor, and G.I. Joe toy created in his likeness. The room is used primarily for planning cadet summer training, summer military training, and hosting visitors. The USNS Benavidez, a U.S. Navy Bob Hope class roll-on, roll-off vehicle cargo ship, is named in honor of Master Sergeant Benavidez. Benavidez Medal of Honor is on display at the Ronald Reagan Library with a video of him receiving the medal from President Reagan. That's what Joey Dines was speaking of. As of November 2020, there are discussions to rename Fort Hood as Fort Benavidez as part of an ongoing movement to rename installations and institutions originally named for Confederate generals. So you got six different states. You have a building or something named after this guy. 6 different states, and then you have he's been some of his medals were given to him out of another 3 states. Another 3 states. You know what I mean? So this guy's a real deal Holyfield, right? He was a real American hero. You know, and the proof is in the pudding, right? I heard that word a few times today and yesterday. The proof is in the pudding, right? So, I just want to highlight some of these real heroes that that really did something to really, with their honor and valor, to really receive the Purple Heart, and not just do all this shit, talking out the side of your neck. You know what I'm saying? Because that's all it is. Fucking selling wolf tickets and talking out the side of your neck. These are real American heroes. Keyword American, right? We're Americans. I don't care what color of skin you are. You're born here, or if you got your citizenship later on, you're an American, right? So it is what it is. I got some other soldiers that I'm going to probably talk about. Gary Rose, Louis Rocco, and I got a few other ones. So we're gonna I'm gonna do this probably every I'm gonna try to do it once a week at least. Maybe a live or a pre-record. But before I start doing pre-records, I got to figure out how to do the thumbnails. I only figured out so far how to do them on StreamYard. So I want these guys' pictures to be shown, so or whatever the topic is, so you guys know who I'm speaking of, because it's a very serious thing, right? It's an honorable thing. That's what I mean by serious. But then again, it's a serious thing to be claiming something you're not, or claiming something that you don't have, that, a lot of people lost their lives over. Like I mentioned the other day, a lot of people, all they have to remember their family member, if they were young when they went in, so their parents or siblings, and they got killed. Only thing they got to remember them by is the American flag and the Purple Heart. You know what I'm saying? And because unfortunately their body they didn't retrieve the body due to the blast or whatever it was. Yeah, they should name a medal after him at least. Yeah, I agree with that. Then if you're older and you had a wife and kids already, if you have a wife and kids already, and unfortunately you were killed in battle, that's all they got to remember you by is the Purple Heart, the American flag. You know what I mean? And that's it. So when you got people claiming, to have it, and then, oh, I don't want to show my, that it's just all this bullshit. That's all it is. Bunch of bullshit. You know what I mean? Besides the video Joey Dice mentioned, there's one of the Benavidez speaking that's really good. Yeah. What's up? Just chilling. So, I kind of mentioned something earlier because I had seen somebody popped in the chat that I seen that video made, and then I seen them commenting. I've been on here long enough. You know what I'm saying? I've been on YouTube for I don't know, a year, at least a year by now. Haven't had my own channel or the No Fly Zone hadn't even kicked off yet. I think the No Fly Zone we've been on a year. I think coming up in January. I think if I remember correctly. So. I used to come on different shows and pop up on the panel and stuff like that. But, I think I've demonstrated who I am, my character, as a person, as a man, however you want to call it, that I'm not, that's nowhere in my character to be trying to find out who somebody is and give their information about them and their family to somebody else. Come on, man. It's not that serious to me. And, and I'm going to put it like this, and it might sound disrespectful, but oh, fucking well, right? I give a fuck about you and your family. It's no disrespect to them, but your dumbass doing all this all the time is, why people are trying to find out who you are. Me personally, I don't give a fuck. You know what I'm saying? I'm just saying it straight up. You want to lie about me, put some bullshit out there that, that I'm giving your information and you and your family out. Miss me with it. You know what I'm saying? But, Tim, there's a video called something like the 10 most dangerous people of all time or something like that. And Roy was one of them. 10 of the most dangerous people of all time. Yeah. So I just wanted to give the man, Master Sergeant Roy Benavidez a little shine on my channel, profile him a little bit. And then continue with the soldiers, our American heroes that you know, are highly decorated soldiers. And matter of fact, I'm gonna do one on Senator John McCain too, because he had a chance. John McCain had a chance to get released because his father, both his grandfather and his father were admirals. I don't know if they're both straight full-fledged admirals or one was a rear admiral. I'm not sure how that works, but nonetheless, they were powerful. They had powerful positions within the Navy. And then I think McCain was a captain, I think, or lieutenant. I think he was a captain. And once the Vietnamese found out who he was, and who was, his family was, they offered to release him. And he was like, nah, I'm not going anywhere until my guys all go. And he stood to get beat and tortured and everything, whatever else they did to him. And he couldn't even lift his arms up. Remember when he was up there waving at everybody? He could only go so far. I don't know if you can see him, but he only could go so far. And I heard they said he couldn't even put on his own jacket and his own t-shirts and stuff like that. He needed assistance. I think even to comb his hair. You know what I mean? So again, that's a real American hero in my book. And and our nation is not even that old. A couple, what is it, 260 years old or something like that. It's not that old of a nation. But yet, since back then, there's been heroes. Soldiers doing what soldiers are supposed to do. Put it that way. And we're gonna, I'm gonna highlight some of them here. I've already started. This is the second one, and I'm gonna continue to go. I'll probably do something on the I don't know what they're called. I don't know the name of their regiment or the battalion right now, but the brothers they were all fighter pilots. I think that was Vietnam, or no, that was World War II, I believe. Was it World War II? Wow, I'll figure that out. They did a movie about them with Neo and a few other guys not too long back, and it was a pretty good movie. Those things need to be highlighted. These guys were badasses, right? They would be requested, not recommended, but requested by other pilots, that they want them there to back them up, stuff like that. So, um, yeah, World War II. That's right. Yeah, it was World War II. I don't know why I said Vietnam. Yeah, it was World War II, and those guys are badasses. And we got a ton of badasses in the military, in all the branches. You know what I mean? Army, Navy, the Air Force, and then the Marines with the Navy, right? Um, some different time areas. Bosnia, I think it was Bosnia. You hear about guys in Bosnia and over that way, and you hear about the Panamanian when they went in there to, I think, get Noriega, I believe it was. You hear some stories, obviously the wars, World War I, II, Korean, Vietnam, the first Gulf War. I was in middle school when I was like seventh grade when they went to when they went to the first Gulf War. Check out the Sullivan. Yeah, that's another name that rings a bell. Sullivan Brothers, five brothers. That I've heard of them. I've heard of them. And I remember one time I was watching something too. It was on World War II. I think if I remember correctly, I think it was a small town in Pennsylvania, I believe. Yeah, I'm pretty sure it was Pennsylvania. And it was like the whole town, all the kids, the men, the boys, straight from high school were going straight into the military. And there was a lot of them. Like it was that little town alone had like 20 different soldiers that went into the military. But yeah. So I'm gonna do my best, like Joey Dimes has done. He gave me this name here, Roy Benavides. And give me 1 second, guys. Sorry about that. Sorry about that, guys. That was Harvey from Harvey Talks Prison from Missouri, the state of Missouri. We're about to go and do a part two of the little. It's not so much an interview; it's more of a. Well, it started out like an interview, but then it kind of went about the politics here in prison. But at some point, we will do a straight interview. But go check out. He already put the first episode out yesterday. Yeah, Wednesday, because he drops his videos on Monday, Wednesday, Friday. So yesterday he dropped part one. So go, if you guys don't mind, go check out Harvey Talks Prison. And he was a lifer at one point, like I mentioned at the beginning of the video. He was a lifer at one point. He did 29 years. Went down as a juvenile, caught a case protecting his little brother, and did 29 years, got out 6 years ago, and he's still out and he's doing his thing. YouTube works, and he's my favorite channel in the prison genre. But anyways, we're gonna go on in 10 minutes on his channel. Who we got here? Que se dice, cugino, salute, Sentanini. Hope you're having a good night, pal. Well, it's still light out here. It's still daytime. So yeah, I'm doing all right. Appreciate you stopping by. But Harvey Talks Prison. He dropped the video yesterday. He does his on Zoom, so he records it, and then whatever editing he needs to do, then he drops it on either Monday, Wednesday, or Friday. So he'll drop it tomorrow on Friday. So you can't actually go over there and watch us now, but you can go see at least the first part one that we did on Tuesday, and it's called Harvey Talks Prison. Let me see. I don't think I can. Let's see. Harvey Talks Prison. So I did part one on Tuesday. He dropped it yesterday. And then we'll record part two today, and he'll drop part two tomorrow. So yeah, that's where we're at with that. It's pronounced like Chindan. Sorry, LOL, just me down here. Yeah, I figured that's what it meant, like Centil. So yeah, I'm gonna go ahead and tap out. I got a couple minutes before. Well, I got like 8-9 minutes before we go on with him, but I gotta go through the Zoom, and it takes a couple minutes. And I gotta use the restroom before I go on with him. So yeah, if you guys don't mind, go check out Harvey Talks Prison. Like I mentioned, me and him collab, and what we're probably gonna do is I'm speaking now, and he might ask me a couple questions here and there, but at some point we'll do like the Midwest experience compared to the West Coast, or not so much the West Coast, California, because I know Oregon. I've heard of the way Oregon prison system is, in Washington, and it's not like California. You know what I mean? It is somewhat, but it's not all the way like it's not all the way the same. Have a good night, amigo. Always good to see you. Yeah, you too. Thanks for stopping by. So yeah, I'm gonna go ahead and tap out. I appreciate you guys that stop by and show support, such as Gianni, Joey Dimes, Tim Egan, Just Chillin', and then Rick Riley, which is AKA Sundown. I might have him on at some point too. He's a member of a certain organization dating back to the 70s when it was real deal. You know what I mean? And I'll probably have him on at some point. But yeah, everybody, thanks for coming. Joey Dimes, boom. You know what I mean? Thanks for giving me the name. And till the next time, at What It Do with Big Lou and FZR2, baby.